Kawhi Leonard was supposed to be heading back to Toronto. But now, that move is stuck in the middle of an NBA investigation, and the latest development has made this situation even more complicated. The league has reportedly found no proof that Steve Ballmer secretly paid Kawhi through sponsors, but the investigation isn't officially over. So what happens to Kawhi now? Kawhi Leonard's future was supposed to be one of the biggest stories of the NBA offseason. A return to Toronto, the same city where Kawhi became a champion, the same franchise where he delivered one of the greatest playoff runs in recent NBA history. But instead of preparing for a reunion, Kawhi is now at the center of an NBA investigation, and the situation has become one of the strangest stories of the offseason. Toronto's planned deal involving Leonard has been put on hold, while the NBA investigates allegations surrounding the Clippers and possible salary cap circumvention. And now there's a new twist. The NBA has been investigating whether the Clippers improperly circumvented salary cap rules through sponsorship relationships connected to Kawhi Leonard. The allegations involve the now bankrupt company Aspiration and other business relationships. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer have denied wrongdoing. And that's extremely important. These are allegations under investigation, not established facts. But the investigation has already created a major basketball consequence. Kawhi's potential return to Toronto is on hold. To understand why this matters, you have to understand Kawhi's history in Toronto. In 2018, Kawhi arrived from San Antonio. Nobody knew exactly how long he'd stay. Then he completely changed the franchise. During the 2018 season, Kawhi led Toronto all the way to the NBA championship. He won Finals MVP, and he became one of the most important players in Raptors history. So when Toronto began pursuing him again, it wasn't just another free agent story. It was a potential homecoming. But now that homecoming is stuck, Toronto announced that its planned transaction involving Leonard was being paused because of the NBA investigation. The Raptors said the league informed them that they would assume the risk of whatever consequences could eventually come from the investigation. Think about what that means. Toronto could potentially bring Kawhi back, only to discover later that the league's final ruling creates consequences affecting the transaction. So the Raptors have every reason to wait. And that's exactly what they're doing. Recent reporting has changed the picture. According to Reuters, an 8-month NBA investigation reportedly found no proof that Steve Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi Leonard through team sponsors to bypass the salary cap. But there's a major catch. The NBA's findings are not final. The league has said the full results will be revealed once the investigation concludes. So right now, we're in an unusual situation. The investigation hasn't produced the proof that some reports were looking for. But the investigation itself isn't finished. And that uncertainty is enough to freeze Kawhi's situation.
This isn't only about one player. It's about the NBA's salary cap system. The league has extremely complicated rules designed to prevent teams from gaining an unfair advantage by giving players compensation outside the normal salary structure. If teams could simply find creative ways to give players additional money through outside business relationships, the salary cap wouldn't mean much. That's why the NBA takes these investigations seriously. At the same time, sponsorships between athletes and companies are normal. Players can have legitimate business relationships. Teams can introduce players to sponsors. So the challenge for the NBA is figuring out where legitimate business ends and prohibited compensation begins. This is the question every NBA fan is asking. If the NBA concludes there was no violation, the path becomes much clearer. Toronto could potentially move forward with its plans. But if the league finds a violation, the situation could become much more complicated. And that's why the Raptors aren't rushing. They're waiting for clarity. For Kawhi, that means his future is temporarily tied to a league investigation that he doesn't control. And that's a bizarre position for one of the league's biggest stars. The Clippers also have plenty at stake. They have consistently denied wrongdoing. And their organization is now waiting for the league to finish its work. If the NBA ultimately clears the Clippers, the team can move forward. If penalties are proposed, however, the Clippers could challenge the league's findings. ESPN has reported that the NBA investigation could potentially extend into 2027 if the sides don't agree on findings or a potential punishment. That tells you just how complicated this case has become. And there's another layer. Kawhi is still an elite basketball player. Last season, he averaged 27.9 points, 6.4 rebounds and 3.6 assists for the Clippers while playing 65 games. So this isn't a story about a player who is simply trying to find another contract. It's about a star who could significantly change a contender. Toronto knows what Kawhi can do. The Clippers know what Kawhi can do. And the entire league knows what Kawhi can do when he's healthy. That's why the uncertainty is so frustrating. The basketball decision may already be clear. The legal and league situation isn't. So where does this leave us? Right now, Kawhi Leonard's Toronto return remains on hold. The NBA investigation continues. Recent reporting suggests there is no proof, so far, that Ballmer funneled money to Leonard through sponsors. But the league hasn't issued its final findings. And until that happens, everyone is waiting. Toronto is waiting. The Clippers are waiting. Kawhi is waiting. And NBA fans are waiting. Because one final decision could determine where one of the league's biggest stars plays next. Kawhi Leonard's future isn't necessarily in danger, but right now, it's uncertain. And that's what makes this one of the most fascinating NBA stories of the offseason. If the NBA clears the situation, should Toronto immediately finish the deal and bring Kawhi home? Or should the Raptors move on? Let me know what you think in the comments. And for daily NBA news, rumors, and analysis, subscribe to NBA Blitz.